going to be giving the presentation that I gave at the WAVE conference. That's the World Association of Vedic Studies. Many of you requested that I do that. You weren't able to attend, and so that's why I'm doing that today. And I'll be talking about my personal experiences of Veda. I've been experiencing Veda for 42 years, and also some of my time with Maharishi. That's what they asked me to talk about at the conference, and it took 4 committee members to actually encourage me to do that. This is the topic then, 42 years and 20 minutes. I'm sure I'll leave a few things out consequently. And you know, I don't know, I must be bad at math. I don't know how it comes to 42 years because I'm only 25 years old. So. Must include some past lifetimes. I do want to propose to you that Veda is something that more than what we read in the books. It's more than a collection of sounds. And so I will offer to you my personal experience as an example. So, I want to make it clear I don't chant Veda. We've got wonderful Maharishi Vedic pundits that are highly skilled and also have great voices. And frankly, I can't carry a tune. I'm still working on the melody to Happy Birthday. I have to admit it. Plus, I have a little bit of residual of a southern accent. Being born and raised in Paducah, Kentucky, in between 2 cities called Monkey's Eyebrow and Possum Trot. A little bit of a twang there. I'm going to take you then on a personal journey into the land of my Veda, the way I experienced Veda. Let's go to 1973. I'm sitting alone in my apartment. I sit to close my eyes to meditate. And out of nowhere, I hear these glorious sounds. I open my eyes, I look around, the radio's not on, I didn't have a TV. There was no choir of Vedic pundits outside my door. I couldn't figure out where the sounds were coming from. They weren't from the outside. I was not causing them to happen. I was totally perplexed. And yet in bliss, because they're glorious Vedic sounds that I was hearing in myself. But I never heard this happening to anybody, so I just didn't say anything to anyone. Fast forward to 1974, at the end of my teacher training course to become a teacher of Transcendental Meditation. Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, the founder of the TM movement, was talking with me, and he said, I want you to come back and see me. I thought he said that to everybody, and so I didn't think too much of it. A few years later, actually no, it was just a couple months later, I had the opportunity to see him when he came for a world tour to the United States. And I said, do you really want me to come see you? And he said, yes. So I organized things so that I was able to come in a couple months. I arrived, Maharishi asked me to stay. Everything on the outside was amazing. They gave me a beautiful suite, spacious suite in the Park Hotel. Some of you probably were there. In Witznau, Switzerland, with this large terrace overlooking Lake Lucerne. And, you know, you'd see these 2 swans swimming around. It was just idyllic. But I was having a bit of an inner conflict. Every time I sat to meditate, I'd hear these Vedic sounds, and I couldn't get them to go away. Out of sheer frustration and perplexion, I finally said to Maharishi, rather sheepishly, I said, Maharishi, every time I sit to meditate, I hear these Vedic sounds, and I can't make them stop. He looked at me, and he laughed. Which he often did. And he said, you can't make them stop. You don't want to make them stop. It's fade. Those few words redirected the course of my life forever, from straining against the natural flow of pure knowledge inside myself to enjoying them. Maharishi liked to make the analogy of, it was as if I had this heavy diamond pendant I was wearing, and I didn't realize its value. And so I just had to have that knowledge that it was a good thing. So Maharishi redirecting my course there. After that, I'd say it took a couple of months. And then Veda started to seep into all parts of my life. In fact, movement seems to further stimulate the Vedic experiences. You know that analogy of being in a warm bathtub, you move and you feel the warmth? It's kind of like that. It's like I'm bliss in motion, full of devotion, happy feet, just totally ecstatic. And I can be experiencing Veda when I'm restful, or when I'm at the gym. Instead of wearing my MP3 player like everybody else, I groove into my own internal Vedic music. And along with this, there's a feeling of devotion, of God, of divinity and oneness, and yet I experience ignorance too. I don't want to mislead you that I profess I'm perfect or enlightened. I've got everything, the whole enchiladas there, including the olives of ignorance. I feel like I'm a continual work in progress, like my artwork. Maharishi did, though, like to quote sometimes when I would tell him my Vedic experiences from Rig Veda, where it says, Yo Jagara Tamricha Kamiyante. The way he interprets that is, he who is awake, the reaches seek him out or zoom forth in his awareness. There's another interpretation of that Vedic line. The last line is Kamiyante. Kama means love. He who is awake, the hymns of Veda love him. And boy, do they love me. And boy, do I love them. In fact, it's as if they're myself. Here we are. It's about 1975, and Maharishi wanted research done on me. He said I was like having a positive influence on other people, and he wanted to see in brainwaves what was going on and have other tests done. I reported to the lab the first time, exhausted, because I'd been on a boat ride with Maharishi and international staff until about 5 in the morning. I couldn't get off the boat, and we were having a January 12th celebration. So I walk in, I'm totally fried. He said, the researcher said, well, we'll just see. So they hooked me up, and I felt very tired. Afterwards, I apologized, and I said, well, we'll have to do this over. They looked at the results, and they said, lots of coherence. Didn't have to do it over. Maharishi wanted more tests done, so many months later they tested me. They hooked me up. They actually put glue. They would, in those times, use a heavy glue and glue the electrodes into your scalp. And then he left me in the room alone. Right after that, lunch started in the room above me, and it sounded like 200 people were walking on top of my head the entire time. Very distracting. When the researcher came in, I said, well, we'll have to do that over. He looked, he said, oh, there's lots of coherence. So that told me something very valuable. You can't judge the success of your meditation by how you feel during meditation. After all, we do meditate for activity. right? Meditation we don't do for its sake. We do for how we feel afterwards, for its results in our daily life. And it also did something very valuable. It inspired me to always be very regular in meditation. I've only missed one meditation since 1971, and that was in the beginning when I forgot. So it's something that I encourage. So we're back in around 1976 now in Switzerland, and Maharishi was meeting with us every single day. Because I'd had the opportunity many times to tell him experiences, I thought it would be nice to let other people have the opportunity, so I wasn't telling my experiences so much. In front of everybody, Maharishi said, Suzanne, you should always tell your experiences every day. No pressure, you know. Every single day I was on the line to tell experiences. So I was always writing my experiences or having them. The next, a few months later, then Maharishi said to me, because I was avoiding the camera, I was telling my experiences, but I was avoiding the camera, because I like being anonymous and all that. He called me up on the phone. I was in my room meditating, and he called me up on the phone and he said, Suzanne, whenever you tell your experiences, which is every day, you should always stand up, face the camera, and say your name. Again, Maharishi redirecting me to continue to bring me out and to share. He kept pulling me out of my cave, kept pulling me out. And then things would settle down a little bit. Then one day in front of everybody, he said, Suzanne, you should always tape record every time we talk. And that was happening every day. And you should carry a tape recorder around with you all the time to be prepared. Because he would call me anytime, day or night, to a private meeting or to a group meeting or whatever. I had to always be prepared. We were in Hertenstein, Switzerland at the time. There was nowhere to get a tape recorder. The video department gave me a very high quality tape recorder, but there was a problem. It was the size of a small suitcase. So it didn't have any batteries either, so they gave me a 30-foot extension cord. This is me trying to be low-key in Switzerland, right? Also, I always carried around a large file box full of my experiences, so I had prepared, to choose whatever experiences he might seem to be interested in that particular day. So here I am in Hertenstein, Switzerland, carrying a boombox, 30-foot extension cord wrapped around my shoulder, and a file box full of my experiences, wearing a sari. I'm trying to be unnoticed. Things would settle down a little bit, and then he would say, I get this message that I should come to Salisbury, Switzerland, where he was, and write a book of my experiences. So I went there. I was finishing up a course at the time. I said, Maharishi, who's going to want to read a book of my experiences? I was totally mystified. I mean, I like to write, but really. And he said, this is for the whole world. So Maharishi continually redirecting me over and over again to come out and to share. And that's part of the reason why I'm doing this. I kind of make myself get out there and share from time to time, because otherwise I seem to get flattened and scolded if I don't. I don't know if I'll ever finish the book because, I wrote the book, and then I'd been with Maharishi for 3 solid years. My family hadn't seen me. They were really wondering what I looked like. So I went home, and while I was in the United States, they moved my office in Switzerland. Somehow, my original and only manuscript of that book disappeared, along with all the backup, and along with 3 years of writing experiences. That's okay, I completely understand, all this is probably just an exercise in integration. I mean, after all, writing is a very valuable thing. if you want to further your experiences and enhance them, because you'll notice more details in the writing. How many here are writers? I know some of you, yeah, lots of you write. So you know how that brings out more gems in the writing. So I've continued to write, but I don't know if I'll ever finish. I'm not so good at editing. If there are any volunteers, let me know. I think I'll need to grow an extra pair of arms. You know how the Vedic deities have 6 arms and maybe a couple extra heads like the deities do to help with all the editing. But if I do write the book, probably the best part will be Maharishi's comments, because he approved for that. He said I could include his comments on my experiences. So I've talked some about my Vedic experiences, about how I experienced them on the level of sound, on the transcendental level in myself. And sound is one main way I experience Veda. Often I'll hear hymns of Samaveda. Sometimes I'll hear hymns of Atharva Veda, or Rig Veda, or Yajur Veda. In fact, I told Maharishi an experience I had of 2 different aspects of Krishna in Shukla Yajur Veda. And a year later, when this illustrious pundit came into the room we were at with international staff in Salzburg, Switzerland, and when this Vedic pundit came in, Maharishi started to tell him my experience I had told him a year earlier of Shukla and Krishna Yajur Veda. How do I know what I'm experiencing? It seems to come pre-labeled. It's like a commentary. It just comes. And I guess you could call it self-referral. I don't always notice the details, but it does seem that Veda seems to recognize itself. Really, it's like an all-encompassing experience when I experience Veda. It's not just sound. Just like a vacation in paradise is more than a postcard would ever reveal. Or, you know, you've heard recordings of ocean waves. You know that being in the ocean, feeling the warmth on your back, your feet in the ocean, the salty breeze, the seagulls, the crashing wave, all that is a total experience. That's how Veda is for me. It's more than just sound. It's like a multi-dimensional experience. It's like liquid silence swells up and sings, and it spreads euphoria and unity in its way. You know, it's sort of like Veda's like this radio station that's always on. That's on the auditory level, and it's always continually broadcasting the best music. And the Vedic hymns do hold #1 in the top 10 of my chart. And in fact, I do feel like really a generator of bliss with a battery that never quits. It's like there's this divine appreciation and love and harmony with everything and everyone that goes along with it. And it's really like a timeless refuge. It's really like, it doesn't matter where I am, home, the gym, a plane or train, I can tune in to Veda anywhere. It's my ideal getaway, only I don't have to get away. My ideal vacation is wherever I am. It can even happen during traumatic experiences. Like what? The dental office or giving a speech. It's like there's this Vedic concert that's tailored just for me right at that time. My own private, personal Vedic concert, just for that moment. And while I can hear this intoxicating Vedic hymns flowing in myself, sometimes, as I mentioned, I notice the details, other times I don't. You know how it is when you hear really gorgeous music and it's so beautiful you can't even grab onto the words and notice them. It can be like that sometimes I'm just so euphoric that I can't even notice any of the details. It can be like, you know, when you're underwater, how free and quiet and peaceful everything is, it can be like that. That unboundedness kind of feeling. And it's like I am submerged in this ocean of Vedic bliss, complete with glorious humming of the hymns of Veda. Now, along with the hearing aspect, I sometimes see waves that are associated with the hymns I'm hearing, as if I'm seeing their form. And it can be like a simple sine wave, or sometimes it can be waves within waves, sort of like that. So it can be simple or complex. Sometimes I'll see the effects of the hymn that I'm actually experiencing in myself. I sometimes see various Vedic structures, devatas, mandalas. I told Maharishi in 1977 an experience I had of how Rig Veda appeared to me visually. How it appeared was the first mandala in the middle, like the seed, and then around it, mandalas 2 through 9, sort of like petals around the center of a daisy. And then around all of that, the 10th mandala encompassing everything. To my surprise, decades later, when Maharishi came out with the Maharishi Vedic Observatory, right in the center is that very structure I described to him in 77. And when I described that structure to him that I saw, he was quiet and he said, "Very interesting, very interesting." So those are some of the visual aspects that I see.